go a little wider. Brings ball back for Marshall. The footwork. Benji Marshall. Now the speed. The footwork again. Away from Peachy. Passes without looking. Away for Richards. Back to Fitzhenry. That is as good as you will see.
Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gents, to another episode of the SUPERCOACH Tragic Podcast. I'm your host, Dan. Apologies for last week, guys. I was crook as a dog, had the week off. Or as Ricky would say, I was a weak-gutted dog. So apologies. I'm back again this week, though. So, you have to deal with me on the pod tonight, guys, unfortunately. So joining us this week, we have the podmaster journalist himself. And that's Ross Mann. Welcome, Ross.
How you going, boys?
Not too bad, mate. Tell everyone how you got your nickname, mate.
What nickname?
The podcaster journalist, mate.
Oh, yeah. Just because I post a lot of stuff in the chat about players and ins and
flooding
outs
us with information.
flooding information into the chats that we're in on Messenger. But yeah, it's a bit of fun. Who cares?
That's it.
Got to get a bit of a laugh out of it after the season I've had with SuperCoach. I need something to laugh at.
That's it, mate. You got to it might be a bit of a laugh, but it's also the information we get out there is pretty handy as well. Yeah. So it's always good to have
a good bunch of boys in there. So very knowledgeable group. So
yeah. How'd you go last week, mate?
My whole team was a bunch of bloody weak-gutted dogs, mate. Terrible. Other than Munster and I think it was Teddy, it was all it was pretty much rat shit. So yeah. I captained Munster, which is probably the only decent thing I did all weekend. I didn't have Trell, I didn't have Sean Lane, no. I benched. And on top of that, I benched Angus Crichton. Decided to play DCE over Angus. It cost me about 60, 70 points. Traded in Tarpany and broke Tarpany as well. And I'm going to trade Tarpany back out this week too after just getting him. But it was pretty average, 1175. Dropped back about 3,000 spots, sitting in about 23k, which is just absolute yuck. So all I can say is bring on BBL and SuperCoach Racing because I'm done with SuperCoach General for this year.
Don't tell our viewers that, mate. They might not want to listen anymore. Also, let me know who you're trading in this week, mate, so I can avoid.
I will. I'll tell you at the end.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, because now I was the one that was breaking them at the start of the year. You're breaking them now.
This is the first player I've broken that I've traded in. Give me some credit, mate. All right.
Alrighty. Also tonight with us we have the man with the plan, aka Tom Waterhouse, aka Glenn. Welcome back, Glenn. How was your week?
Yeah, it was good, mate. I had a good week. I got 1,401 or something and went up to about 400 or 500 spots. Mate, at the beginning of the week, I was having a burler. I was 9 for 944. I mean, you can't get much better than that. And and then it started to fall apart from there when the South Sydney game hit and as a non-Latrell owner. So, but I wasn't too unhappy. 1,400's not a bad week.
Yeah, no, I was the opposite of you, mate. I'm a non-Munster owner, so I was crying at the start of the week. Pretty much gave up my head-to-head. I was ready to go, and then I was like, got to captain Latrell, I guess. And then I managed to win my head-to-head, so I was pretty happy with that. So I got a 1363, pretty par score this week. I think I went up about 500 places, so I was sitting around 16k mark, so much better than what I was at the start, which is good. One of the moves I actually made last week, you'll laugh at this, but I decided after his recent form to play, because I got Barnett still, I decided to play Tuolangi from the Tigers over Barnett. And just quietly, he's average. He hasn't got less than 60 the last 3 weeks. So I wasn't too upset about that. So nice little play there, helped me win my head-to-head. So I'm off to the semi-finals, which is exciting. Which is I think in one of my leagues anyway. I got about 9 leagues that I'm in, and unfortunately, I'm only in the one, but it's the one that I really care about. So that's all that matters. All right, guys. Also, Timmy will be joining us a bit later, guys. He's running a bit late, so he might pop in at some point there. We'll make sure we acknowledge him when he gets in, but yeah, he'll be in a bit later. So we'll start without him. So we'll start with the trade-ins and trade-outs for the week. So number one, traded in. We'll start with you, Ross. Cam Murray. What are your thoughts on that one, mate?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer for me. I mean, I'm probably going to bring him in this week, into my team as well. I he had a blinder last week. Geez, he was really good. I know the Warriors are a terrible team, but geez, he looked really good. He was made a couple of line breaks and set a couple of tries up. I think he had two try assists and a try or something like that. He was just unbelievable. And I know Souths have got a tough draw coming up, but for a player like him, I don't think it's going to make any difference.
Mm.
I know I looked at some of his scores from earlier in the year. He's got Penrith and Eels still to play, I believe, and he's
Mm.
turned up against Eels last time he played them, and he got a 71 against the Panthers. Pretty much all in attacking stats last time he played attacking stats last time he played against Panthers. So I think it's a pretty smart trade. I'm guessing a lot of people are either trading at Tarpany or whether they're going someone else to him. I don't know, but yeah, for me it's a no-brainer. He's just been ultra consistent. I think he's averaging about 75 for the year, so he's probably the best option of anyone to bring in this week, unless you're looking for that sort of ceiling player.
Yeah, I brought Murray in a couple of weeks back. I think just in round 17, just a quick trade at the end just to get him in early. And I find that you look at those teams that have the really big forwards. Doesn't matter how good they are. If they're it could be the Panthers who have their solid forwards in the middle. He tends to play really good against those bigger forwards in the middle. That's why the Warriors had those really big, solid forwards in the middle, and he was just getting through them like they were nothing.
Yeah.
So, and that's why he did so good against the Eels as well. They had one of the best forward packs in the comp, one of the biggest forward packs in the comp as well. So I don't think it's a matter of matching up against a team. It's a matching up against the certain forward pack that he's up against, and I think he's going to be scoring some big scores on the way home. So
Yeah.
I love him. All right, we'll move on to number 2 most traded in this week. I know you like him, Glenn, and that's Ruben Garrick, number 2 most traded in, mate. Your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, if you don't have Ruben Garrick, I'd be doing it this week. I mean, he's already putting up good numbers, and now he's going to be against the Titans at Seabus. I'd be doing it. Great trade.
Yeah. Excuse me, guys. Still got the remnants of the coffee. I'm thinking about bringing Garrick in this week as well, so I'm liking the idea of Garrick.
It could be a sneaky C option this week too.
Yeah, there's a few options out there this week, and we'll get to that a bit later. But I like Garrick a lot this week against the Titans. I think it's going to be a pretty solid matchup for him.
Are we concerned about trading him in this week because he has been carrying that injury, and if they do lose this week or maybe lose even next week and they can't make the 8, is there a chance that they might rest him and they just put him on the back burner or something and move Collar to fullback or something maybe?
I highly doubt they'll rest Garrick. I think like he's already their backup fullback.
Yeah.
I don't think they want to have to worry about resting him. That's my personal opinion anyway, Glenn.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I already own Garrick, but I'm telling you, a few people are messaging me this week on who to get, and that's been my advice. Garrick, that's been my number one say to everyone. Get on Garrick. I mean, it's a possibility for anyone. Round 25, round 24, there could be mass restings. It could, players with niggles, could be rested. So that's just par for the course. I mean, it's a risk, but I'd still be taking it.
Yeah. And if you have any fears about it as well, it kind of sucks this week because they're playing the very last game as well. So
yeah,
a challenge there. Speaking of good matchups, we'll go to you, Ross. Number 3 most traded in, DCE. I know you got some pretty bad thoughts on this one. What are your thoughts now, mate?
Still hasn't changed. Still don't like the trade. I mean, look, he's probably going to have a good game this week. He's probably going to, go big against the Titans. But I've owned him. I bought him about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he's done nothing for me since I've got him in. He's just scored 30s and 40s, and it's been very disappointing to say the least. But in saying that, if you've held Cleary and you're still not sure who to trade a halfback to, I still think he's probably the best option to go to if you are trading Cleary out this week. I don't, especially given the fact that they're playing the Titans this week. They haven't got a bad draw going home. He's probably the best option to the halves if you don't have anyone to move around. If you can't, you can't move Hines up from fullback and get Trell in or someone like that, or get Garrick or someone. It's probably the best option, to be honest with you. But yeah.
Well, you did make a comment before where you said you've only broken one player. I brought in the DCE before you did, and he was scoring quite nicely until you brought him in, apparently.
Okay, so that's all my fault. Okay.
All good, mate. I'll forgive him. All right, Glenn, number 4 most traded in this week, mate. He's been killing it at the moment. That's Latrell Mitchell, mate. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I hate him, mate. Oh no, what do I think about him being traded in? Yeah, it's a good trade. I mean, look, I will say that the draw for the Bunnies, every game here is a tough one, and Latrell Mitchell goes MIA. I mean, having said that, when he does run, he offloads. When he goal kicks, he gets them. I still think he'll score well for you. If you don't have another genuine fullback in your side, I mean, Latrell and Tedesco would be the two I'd have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that one. All right, Ross, we'll go to you, mate. Number 5 most traded in. I don't think I agree with this one, but I'll see what your thoughts are, and that's Payne Haas.
Yeah, no. I mean, at this time of the year, you want to bring in players who are going to be ultra consistent week in, week out. Your ceiling players. I mean, yeah, I don't like it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why people are doing this trade. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. I mean, surely you've got someone in your second row that you can move up to your front row and bring in, I don't know, like a Nat Butcher or a Cam Murray or someone like that you can bring in instead that's going to be ultra consistent and get you decent scores week in and week out. I don't like the trade at all.
They're probably replacing Tarpany.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's
sounds
other
like
there's other options though, especially if you can move a player up to the front row from your back row. If you've got a Lolo down there or someone else that you can move up, I mean, there's a lot better second row options in my opinion. Even a Sean Lane or someone like that too is another one as well that's been really consistent this year too. So, no,
Yeah.
for me, I don't get it.
Yeah, I can see, a world where you could be going Tarpany to Payne Haas, which frees up a bit of cash, and then you can go someone like a Cooler to a Garrick or something like that as well. So that way you're getting those consistent scores out of Payne Haas, but and then getting a ceiling player in Garrick. But yeah, it's not for me, that one, I don't think anyway. So, all right, Glenn, number 6 most traded in player this week. I reckon he's in for a big week, and that's Nico Hines.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't already own him? I mean, if you don't own Hines, I don't know what you're doing in SuperCoach, because you should have owned him from round 2, Ross. Sorry.
That's okay. It's okay. I haven't broken him at least. I've had him for a few weeks now and I haven't broken him, okay?
That's something.
Maybe I will this week after I put the captaincy on him.
The matchups that are left for the Sharks scream Hines.
It's a no-brainer trade, really.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I'm surprised he's not higher. Well, I am.
Well, I think the thing you saw last week, he was only like 50% owned, and that was surprising to me. I'm like, how the hell is he only 50% owned? Like,
yeah,
I don't get it. Funny because I know talking about like with Tim Moody, even he only just traded Hines in this week too for Cleary, so he hasn't had him for a few weeks either. So
yeah,
it surprised me a bit to see. So yeah,
I was the same. I didn't have him for a bit. I traded him out. I can't remember who before. I think I brought in Teddy or something for him, and then I went to DCE as my pod option. And then when Cleary went down, I ended up trading Cleary to Hines last week. So just to kind of match the head-to-head anyway. It wasn't. I didn't make a trade to match the rest of the crowd. It was more to match my head-to-head. So, but in saying that, I'm very grateful. My team looks a lot better with him in my team now. So I'm very happy with that. Alrighty, number 7 most traded in this week. Go to you, Glenn, and that's Isaac Thompson, the young chiefie from the Rabbitohs. Yeah,
I'm not sure why people are doing that. I mean, I would imagine it's to raise funding elsewhere. They must have a fair few trades left. I imagine it's head-to-head players who are doing that.
Yeah, 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
But he's got a decent score on his first game. I think it was a 72, so it looks pretty good. He might not get those scores every week. He's on that right wing, so it's not like he's in the prime position. There's going to be points going that way, but in those tougher matchups, they're going to keep going left and they'll avoid going right. They won't get much at all. So,
and I definitely wouldn't be playing him this week versus Parramatta. I mean, Parramatta do leak on the edges, but I can guarantee you this week, South will go left all game because that's where they've had success against Parramatta in the past.
And I think you'll find as well they'll go for the middle as well, and they'll target those like Junior Paulo and Regan Campbell-Gillard with Cam Murray's speed and his footwork in the middle there as well.
If you were looking at doing an option for that to get some cash, if I know he's 50k more, but you're better off going with someone like Salmon, I reckon, over Thompson for 50k more. That's only what I think too. He's available 5/8 and CTW too, so he'd be an okay option if you're looking for a downgrade.
Yeah, I'm not sure if people are going to like having a weak gutted dog in their team. So,
Hey boys, how we doing?
Yeah, good, Tim.
Hey,
We started
Timmy's on.
without
He
you.
made it.
Uh,
Yeah,
Just
we
so you
started
know, we're
without
on the
Timmy,
air, Tim. So
Super.
all good, mate. We gave everyone a warning you're going to be late, so that's all good, mate.
yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. Number 8, and that'll go to you. I think I'll go to you, Ross. Munster, number 8, traded in this week. I think he's a no-brainer.
it's no brainer really. I mean, yeah, I mean I've had him I think pretty much all season, so yeah, I've been pretty happy with having him, and obviously he killed it last week at fullback, but obviously he's back to the halves this week. But I don't think it's going to make any difference. I think it's pretty much near a must-have in that team, especially with Hughes out. You've got no Hughes, you've got no Pappenhausen. He's going to be the go-to playmaker pretty much for everything now for the next couple of weeks at least while Hughes is out. So yeah, no brainer really that one. I'm surprised he's not higher on the list, to be honest with you.
I reckon the only reason he isn't as high on the list as he should be is probably because a lot of people already own him.
Yeah.
So I reckon because he's owned quite high already, so that's probably the reason why. That's probably why Nico is in number 1 as well.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people already own him.
Plus also too, they don't have the easiest draw going home either, the Storm. To be honest with you either.
Thing as well. If we're looking for a ceiling player, we know Munster can be, but Munster's also got a very high floor against those really solid teams. Yeah. So I think with those solid teams he's up against, like Penrith and that, he's not going to probably break 100 that often, but he'll get like solid 80s and 90s still.
Yeah.
So he might not have that high ceiling against the tough teams, but he will still be a safe score every week. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Glenn, number 9, most traded in this week, and that's Angus Crichton. Thought there, mate?
Yeah, it's good trade. I mean, I've had Angus from round 1. I started Angus and I've kept him all season. I rode the highs and the lows at the start when he, he didn't do too well at the start when he kept getting less minutes, but I knew if I held on, he'd come good, and he did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Angus,
sorry, I was going to say my second rows have really been churning out good points. Angus, Olakowadus and Lane, Kickouts and Co. It's just been where I've been getting a lot of points.
Yeah. Well, I'm my opposite. I got all my points coming from my centre wing because my second row is dog shit. So
they're all weak out of dogs, aren't they? Eh?
Yeah, it is. It is a Ricky Stewart dream. But yeah, I've been like just cutting and changing and swapping and trying to make sure that I'm just surviving every week because I haven't got that big salary cap because I didn't build the bank up fast enough at the start of the year. So I'm just bringing in, swapping in guns and trying to get the best score I possibly can just to beat my head-to-heads. But I'm a bit nervous this week. So, all right. Is Timmy, you ready, Timmy?
Yeah, mate, fire away. What do you got for me?
Awesome. Number 10 most traded in this week, mate, is Harry Grant. Would you be bringing him in this week, mate?
Absolutely. It's a no-brainer. I think you've got to have Harry. You've got to probably have Harry and Cook. I don't have them both, but I'm running Harry Grant. My biggest issue this week in with the hookers is I've got the Storm cheapie up there, and I've got Cameron McInnes down in second row. My plan was to make it so that if Grant went down, then I could just move McInnes up there. But now that Dalfinuken's back, I think McInnes has gone to the bench and he's going to lose his minutes again. He's going to lose his points. So everything I've been holding on for him for these last few rounds is just going to go down the toilet again. So I'm in the process of looking at maybe dropping McInnes, and then I'll either bring Cook in or bring in a premium second row. But then the issue is if Grant goes down, I'm in big trouble.
Yeah, that's it. But and one thing as well, people will say negative about bringing in Grant this week is they're playing the Panthers. But what I'll give everyone a heads up right now, Panthers in the last 5 rounds leaked the most points of any team to hookers. That's saying something there. To Penrith might be defending quite well, but they're giving away more points to hookers than any other team in the last 5 weeks. So Harry Grant might be in for a surprisingly big score this week. Just keep an eye on that, guys.
I think there's also the fact that the Fish is out. He's copped a suspension, so that's going to make a big difference up the middle as well. So yeah, Harry could still have a field day straight up the middle of up the Panthers.
Yep, definitely. All right, that's it for the trade-ins this week. We'll go to you, Glenn, first. Most traded out this week, and there's no point even going on about this, and that's Joe Tarpany.
Well, there is point going on about it, actually. I mean, in my opinion, he's due back next round, according to the NRL casualty ward. So, I mean, depending on if you've got 3 front rowers and you can rest him for 1 week, it wouldn't be too, I'd be just leaving him on the bench and playing him next week. Having said that, players with rib injuries tend to struggle in the NRL, so there might be less output from him. But personally, if I own Tarpany, I'd be just putting him on the bench this week, playing whoever else I've got on the bench and bringing him back for round 23.
Yeah, especially with this time of the year with the lack of trades there, it might be a good option to do that. And then you're going to have this gun second row, front row that could be a decent pot in your head-to-head final as well. So
exactly,
I like the idea.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got like a Ming sitting down in second row, you can switch him around because Tapanay's got the duel. So if you've got Ming sitting on your bench and not playing him, better off chucking him up to your front row, bring Tapanay down for a week, and then move him around that way. Saves the trade. He's obviously hasn't got the same ceiling, but at least it's a solid 50 to 60 somewhere in there, and he's going to keep ticking you over the points.
That's it. All right, number 2 most traded out this week, Jerome Hughes. Ross, thoughts on that one, mate?
Yeah, it's hard to say because we don't know how long he's going to be out for. This is the thing; they're talking 1 to 2 weeks. But if you've got the trades, I get it, because you don't want to have a player like that sitting on your bench, especially if you're in a knockout head-to-head final this week, and you need the win, and you don't want to have him. You need a halfback or something because you might not have anyone else, so you just don't have the depth. And I can understand making the trade, but it depends on how many trades you've got left. If you've only got 1 trade left, I mean, for me, it's a hold. If you've only got the 1 trade, as long as you've got someone else in your halfback, which most people have Hines up there as well. So it really depends on how many trades you've got left, to be honest with you. So but it's just hard to not know how long he's going to be out for. They're saying 1 to 2 weeks, but it could be longer. You just don't know.
Yeah, we all saw what Cleary played with that shoulder injury at the end of the last year, and it wasn't the same guy. He was still getting decent scores, but he wasn't getting those big ceiling scores with that similar injury. So he definitely might even just, even if he does come back next week or whatever, then I don't see him putting that same output out. He has Munster to lean on there as well for that ball playing if he needs him. So
I just want to say something quickly. One thing that, for most of us that know, the Storm aren't very good at being honest about who's coming back when. I don't know if you've played Supercoach in the past. Some of us have sat Storm players on the bench for some period of time, being told they'll be back the following week. The other thing is the Storm have a particularly hard draw from here to home. So I don't hate that trade. But again, as you said, that most sides should have enough depth now to put him on the bench and still field a strong 17.
Yes. Alrighty. We'll go to you, Timmy, for number 3 most traded out this week, and that's Big Billy Kicks. Thoughts there, mate?
Yeah, look, is he due back at all before finals?
He's been named at 22. He could actually play this game.
Yeah, that's right. I think he's the kind of player, if you've got him, you've got to hold on to him. He's a high ceiling player in a high ceiling club. So, I mean, if it's a case of you need to dump him to make sure you're fielding a team this week, but I'll be holding off as long as you can. I haven't got only because I'm disorganised at the moment, but when do Panthers actually play this weekend?
First game, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
we'll know tomorrow. We'll know tomorrow, Thursday night. Yeah.
Absolutely. So at which point you'd hold him for as long as you can until you know that he's definitely going to be out, and then maybe make up your mind after that. But even if he only misses this round, you're talking for head-to-head players, you're talking major semi-final next week, at which point he's definitely the kind of guy you'd want to have in your squad to be that, because he's not really high ownership. And I imagine the more people are trading him out at the moment, the more of a pot he's going to become.
Yeah, and I will say one thing as well. If you're a head-to-head player, in round 24, when the head-to-head grand finals are on, Panthers play the Warriors. So he could bloody get a nice sneaky score there, which would be really handy for any head-to-head player.
Absolutely. I think I've been toying with selling Panthers for the last 2 weeks, and that's what I'm holding out for, because if I'm make grand final in my 2 cashies. I want to have all my Panthers players.
Yeah, well,
I can only imagine probably the most popular trade's going to be is probably him to Cam Murray, I'd imagine.
Or him to DCE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say just quietly,
Huge.
was it kick out? So 1, 2, 3. The next 4 on the list are all Panthers players, which is there's only one there that's really going to have some debate, and that's no debate, and that's Cleary. So everyone else is like this. So number 4 on the list will go to you, Glenn, is Targo.
Yeah, I was quite surprised by that. Targo and May are probably the two that are on that list, are they? I mean, I'm playing both of them this week against a Melbourne side that's been leaking terribly on the right side. I mean, I've been betting every week against the Melbourne Storm's right edge, and with success. Literally every person that's played them scored a double, not just a single, but a double in that position.
Yeah. And I'll say right now, I think last time we played Melbourne, I think this is before we realised that Melbourne are leaking points on that side. You were saying we aren't meant to play backs against the Storm, and that was once the true fact. But Melbourne had been leaking a lot on that edge, and Targo got 104 points that round. So I don't know why I went against you and played him, and you looked at me and thought I was a cocky prick. So
and I
was that's it. But in saying that, it's not getting to May. May only got 44 points against them last week. I think the buck stops at the centre position right there, and Targos are getting all the points. So I can see a world where you might want to sell May. But like we said before, they're playing the Warriors in 2 weeks. I don't want to sell May when they're going to be having that matchup. I'm not. I got him in this. I got him in my team. I'm not playing him this week, but I'm happy to keep him there and wait for that round. So
I think also as soon as Luai comes back, and nobody seems to know when that's going to be. I think is it a week-to-week prospect, or what's the deal with Luai?
There was a chance he might be back in round 25, but I don't see Panthers. If we're winning games, we've pretty much sealed the minor premiership. I don't think they're going to waste a body. If he's not 100%, they'll just rest him and have him and Cleary come back for week 1 of the finals. So
yeah, that's exactly right. Otherwise, I was going to say if he's back if he's a chance at coming back for head-to-head final, then I mean that ball's going to keep going left all day long. If Luai's the senior half at the time.
Yeah. Can I just say on that? Like, obviously they're missing Cleary and Luai, and they're not getting much ball like Targo and May. But I think Kiko not being there last week made a difference too, because they go to Kiko a lot, and if Kiko's not there, then May and Targo aren't going to see the ball. So it all depends. If Kiko plays this week, I may play May and Targo this week, but it all depends on whether he plays or not, because I think he's another player who makes a difference to their scores as well and how much ball that they get.
Yeah, I think you'll find as well. Like I haven't even looked at his score, but I'm pretty sure he had a cracker of a game, and that's Martin. They decided to go against their senior second row for the game, and they went to Martin, and he did really well last week.
Yeah, so I think he scored about 80 odd last week or something.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think they're going to go to their more senior second rower.
Cleary is a very good coach, and he will see what everyone else has been seeing, and that is that the Storm have been leaking really badly on the right-hand side. So I would be very surprised if the game plan this week isn't for them to play the left side. You got to remember that match to match, they attack different sides, so it doesn't always ring true just because they play right one game, play left the other. They're basing it on where sides are leaking or where they see a weakness. And in my opinion, this week, the weakness is again on the right-hand side of the Melbourne Storm. I may be wrong. I was wrong with Targo. Second time in my life. It does happen.
Which sucks if you own Toto, because he probably won't see much ball this game.
That's correct. Well, if May's out, though, it could actually work the other way. So there is still some reports that May not play, that he was in a sling all week. And if that happens, Toho will move to the left-hand side and Charlie Staines will come in on the right. So if that happens, I'd even look at a VC option for Toho.
That's juicy. That's juicy. Yeah, if that happens, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I'm got my head ticking over now. It's a good idea because I was looking at getting Toho in, and I saw he was playing the Storm, so I backed away from it. So that might be a sneaky option. It's being the first game, might be sneaky. I like it.
It's a pod play.
He's not going to get much cheaper.
Yeah, that's it. He's a good price, very good price. All right. So in between all the Targo and May talk, there is Nathan Cleary there, but we won't even touch on him. It's an obvious sell. We'll go to number 7, most traded out, and we'll go to you, Ross. That's Talakai.
Hold
What
on,
would you
can
do
we
with
go back
Talakai?
a step? Can we go back a step on Cleary, just out of interest? Show of hands, have you boys still got him?
No.
No, Glennie?
No, mate.
Oh,
I
just
sold him to
me.
Munster last week.
Roscoe, he's in your trade out plans this week.
Who's that?
Cleary.
I've already got rid of Cleary.
Oh, you've
He's
done
gone
it as
last
well.
week, mate. I traded him to Tarpany.
See, I've held him because there just hasn't been anyone jumping out saying pick me in the halves. They seem to be dropping like flies at the moment too. So I've got Nico Hines up there in halfback. I've got Latrell and Teddy down in fullback, and then I've got Drinky and Munster in at 5'8". So halfback's my weak position, but it's at the moment it's just no one's jumping out saying pick me. So I've held on to him. The sole reason that there's the best part of 700k there if I need to make a trade come grand final day or something like that. So it's look, it's just an interesting play. I was interested to see if you boys still had him or not.
Yeah, I can see the point. Like, it's hard to, especially with the way your team is made up. I had DCE and Cleary, so mine was easy. I had Nico Hines to bring in. It was quite easy for me. But like DCE isn't an obvious choice to bring in. He might be the closest thing to an obvious choice this week, just with his matchup. But he hasn't been really showing much the last 2-3 games anyway. So I think he's in for a big score this week.
Sorry, Glenn, what was that?
If I was a head-to-head player based on finals this week, I'd be chucking on DCE.
Yeah, that's what I reckon.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go to you, Ross. Number 7, traded out. You touched on it earlier. Talakai, mate. What would you do with Talakai?
Yeah, let's talk about Talakai because I'm trading him out this week because I'm sick and tired of the inconsistency with his scores. And I know they've got good matchups going home, but I can't do it any longer. I'm just at the point where I've had enough of his crappy scores. He got hooked after 70 minutes last week for 25 massive points. They're just not. They're not getting any ball. Him and Mulatalo aren't getting any ball. There's too many hogs in that team. You've got Wade Graham who doesn't pass the ball. You've got Matty Moylan who doesn't pass the ball. Then on the other side, you've got Jesse Ramian who doesn't pass the ball. So for me, I've got the cash there, and yes, he could go big. But for me, I'm going to Cam Murray this week from him, and just going to go for the consistency, mate, because I can't see him sitting there any longer getting his 30s and 40s because I traded him the week after he got that big score against Manly. So there's another player I've broken. We'll add that one to the list, Dan.
Yep.
So, he's like, I can understand selling him, but I can understand holding him at the same time. But it's just a frustration of owning him and any of the Sharks players at the moment, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, we've been talking for ages about keeping him because he's got that good run and everything, but he's been doing nothing with the run. And like you touched on before, like on the other side, you've got Nico Hines. He can throw that cutout pass over to kind of Tracy, or back then it was Katoa. Yeah. On this side, you've got Moylan. He's going to go run first, pass later. So the left-hand edge is just not getting the ball anymore. No. So, I'm thinking that if I had him, I'd probably sell. But honestly, it'd be a luxury trade if you ask me, because like you said, he's a warm body. Probably not as warm as he has been at the start of the year, but he's a warm body, so it's a luxury trade. But if you got the trade, I'd do it.
Well, especially when most of us bought him in when he was about 650, 700k, and now he's like 450k now, so he's dropped a shit ton of cash too. So
you did touch on something that's right. So they defend very well as a pack, but in defence as a pack, but in attack they're a very selfish football team. You've got a lot of players in that side who are very selfish, and the best football sides play as a team. You know, they utilise what they've got, and they've got very good edges, and they were doing that earlier in the season. But I think the addition of Wade Graham and even Tolman have been a great hindrance to that left edge.
It's been horrible. You need to have you're better off. Wade Graham shouldn't even be starting in that team. They should have someone like Nakora or something on that left edge that's going to pass the ball to these guys. I mean, Mulatalo and Talakai are two lethal players on their day when they get the ball. But watching that game last week against the Dragons, he just didn't get any ball. Nothing. Like Mulatalo hardly touched it.
Yeah,
it's just I don't like. I'm worried about owning either of them. I'm holding on to Mulatalo, obviously, but I'm not even sold on even playing him this week. I'm going to, obviously, but there's no guarantees he's going to get any ball. It's just frustrating to watch. It really is. As an owner, it's frustrating.
And that's what I was saying before about with regards to my McInnes trade for much the same reason. Like the squad changes one or two players, and all of a sudden the attack just seems to get stuffed. So I've got four Sharks. I've got Hines, I've got Talakai, I've got Mulatalo, and I've got McInnes. And this was what I was holding him for. And then last week I think I got about 220 points out of the four players, and that was including bloody Hines 112 or whatever it was that he got.
Yeah, but I don't know what Fitzgibbon was doing last week, because the week before, buddy McInnes played like 70 minutes at lock, and this week he played him like 50 minutes or something.
Can I just correct something too that you said? You said that he got hooked, and I thought that was what had happened too. But actually, it was a HIA. He was pulled off with 6 minutes to go with a HIA. So
hooked HIA. Just
they both start.
They're trying to find an excuse. They're trying to find an excuse to pull him off. So just flag it as a HIA.
No one's going
to get the free interchange then.
Yeah. You got to get the free interchange.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to you, Glenn. Number 8 most traded out this week, mate, and that's Moses. We spoke about him last week. No difference.
Yeah, I mean, even if Moses was fit, I'd still be calling that as a trade out. I traded Moses out about 4 weeks ago, which was the right time to sell. After they had those 2 easy games after the round 19, that was the time to sell. So most smart punters did just that.
Yeah, definitely. This one, I don't know. I'm torn because I've still got this guy. I'm keeping him. Number 9, Timmy. Cooler from the Eels. From Manly. What are your thoughts on trading him out, mate?
Yeah, mate, I dropped him a couple of weeks ago because he'd sort of peaked in his cash and he sat out a week. So it was a move that I had to make at the time. I actually like him. I think as far as their attack goes, he's someone that goes looking for the ball. He's super quick and he loves a tackle break. He's not concerned about doing the dirty work. I like him as a footballer. If, again, like I tried really hard, had he not sat out that week, 2 weeks ago, I probably would have kept him and would have played him. I think he could be something special. But it's look, it really, again, it's another one that we say is team dependent. Depends if you've got six centre wings like I've got at the moment, then it may be an easy trade out for you. What's his BE this week, Dan?
I haven't done that much research, mate.
Break evens don't really matter at this time of the year, to be honest with you.
I understand that. I just mean if someone's concerned that he's going to lose cash, like when I sold him, I think his BE was 121 or something. I think it was after his really low score week. So that was a reason why I dumped him. Otherwise, I would have held on to him.
It wouldn't be. It'd be crazy to sell him this week. Anyway, they're playing the Titans. You wouldn't be selling him against them. There's no way.
I'd be playing him.
Yeah, 100%. I had him on playing him.
I got him in my team, and I'm playing him this week. Yeah. And the reason why I never sold him is because a lot of people were saying, yeah, he's getting 30s every week. He's getting 30s every single week. He got 30 or 35. And I said to everyone, like, well, he's getting that with no attacking stats.
Yeah.
He's a speed demon, right? He's going to get tries soon. And I kept him, and everyone sold him. And I unfortunately, I never played him. I played him a couple of times with those big scores, but most of the time I didn't play him. But I kept him that time, and I got the pay rises back again. So I was pretty happy with keeping him. But I think that's just me being stubborn. I was stuck in my way thinking that this guy's got really good base for a centre. And, I haven't made enough money out of him to really warrant selling. So I kept him. And now I'm looking at playing him on matchups every single week. So,
yeah.
All right. Timmy, we'll go to you, mate. I'll say the Bronco for you, mate. That's Ezra, number 10, traded out this week, mate. Thoughts there?
Again, I think that's a luxury trade, especially while he's got dual. You can flick him around from back to halfback. I think that's his biggest asset. But I love him as a player because he runs first, kicks second. So I think any halfback that runs first, kicks second in a fairly attacking team, I think it's SUPERCOACH gold. I mean, what's his worst score? I can't imagine it's not like it's a 10 or anything like that. His worst score would be a 40 or a 50 or something along those lines. So yeah, look, the Broncos don't have the toughest run home, but he gets the ball all the time. So look, I see that as a luxury trade. If I had him in my team still, he was another one that I sold sort of reluctantly at the time. I think I dropped him about 5 weeks ago. But yeah, look, I'd be holding on to him if you've got him. There's nothing, like we said, there's nothing jumping out at halfback even. Like he would be somebody, if I still had him, I would absolutely be playing him. So, yeah.
That's where all the Munster trades are going to. Mam to Munster, I would say, most likely. Which makes sense. If you traded him to Munster, then I get it. But if you're short on trades and you've only got 1 to 2 trades, this isn't the week to do that trade, especially when they're playing the bloody Newcastle as well, because he could easily turn up this week against Newcastle. Easily. So,
especially with the way that he runs.
Yeah.
I think he's a player that could tear Newcastle apart.
yeah.
I think he was going to out Milford this week.
Yeah.
So.
Is that your bold prediction, Dan? He's going to out
Mate,
Milf?
I haven't even thought of a bold prediction this week. I'll think of something crazy in the meantime. So.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe I'll think of one of my sneaky potential trades. Do something crazy.
Bring in Mam. You're going to bring Mam in?
No, mate. I'm not doing that.
Hey, don't laugh. I've thought about it.
Yeah. All right. That wraps up the market watch for trades and trade outs for the week. So we're just going to go around the grounds and talk about potential captain options for this week. Who we think is going to have the best score this week? I reckon there's quite a few out there that might not be as highly popular captain choices. I think Glenn touched on one earlier. Sneaky captain choice would be Ruben Garrick this week against the Titans, especially playing that last game of the round as well. But I'll go around the grounds first, and I'll start with you, Glenn, mate. Is there any other thoughts, any other captains, mate, you'd be looking at this week?
Yeah, well, there's a couple, right? So with the Tedesco, I think actually could have a good game this week. I think Hines is an obvious standout. Latrell Mitchell is an obvious standout. But the ones that I think people aren't looking at that I think they should is DCE, Olakau'atu, and Garrick. I think that the Titans just suck. They leak points, and I think that's the game where you could really you could do a VC early on if you're a head-to-head player on who they've got as captain. If they go well, loop with them and go with them. But if not, you could actually really win in the last round in that matchup.
Yeah.
And Sundays, I don't know if you saw the stats that Ty put out today on the how teams score on particular days. And Sundays is the best day for SuperCoach scores.
What do you think that is? Do you reckon that's because the games are usually played during the day rather than at night, which is theory?
Yeah.
That's my theory too. Is that nighttime, daytime football? I agree. That's what I think so too. Yeah.
I just think there's a lot of dew around at the moment, and I think that's like you could see some of the games last week in the night games. Like no one could hold on to the bloody ball, and I mean even we've had some damp weather and stuff like that lately as well. But I think if you've got teams playing Sunday afternoon, if it's a dry track, then absolutely I'll be all over them. I think Manly will play some pretty attacking football. I think if I was going Cleary out to anyone, I think DCE would be the man, and it would be this week would be the play. If you could manage to do that trade and bring Garrick in as well, I think you'd be all over it.
Yeah.
Too easy. All right, we'll go to you. What we've got you here, Tim. We'll go to you, mate. Is there any captain choices that you think of that haven't been mentioned already?
A sneaky one, something very left field. I'd be looking at one of the Broncos outside backs against Newcastle. Cobbo or Stags would be worth a shout.
Yeah, I was thinking of actually bringing in Cobbo this week as a sneaky little buy, just against the Knights there. I like him. He does this thing all the time where, like when he first debuted, I think it was last year. He come in and he had so many nerves and he was dropping the ball a lot. And then when he got to his attacking mode, he just looked amazing in attack. But it took a few games to get him going. He's had a few weeks off with his injury and Origin, and he had a bit of a nerve-wracking game last week. I reckon he's going to come out firing this week, and I reckon he's going to turn up.
I will say one thing about the Broncos is they're a vastly different side with and without Carrigan.
Yeah.
I still think the Broncos will easily dispense of Newcastle, and I agree with what you're saying. I would just be cautious that they're a different side without Carrigan, and they looked every bit that last week without Carrigan.
Yeah. Go forward. I do like Hetherington as a little replacement for him. I think he's a very similar mold to Cotter. But he's just you can't replace Carrigan at it. He's a bit bigger body with a similar footwork to Hetherington as well. So
I don't care what team you play for. You take 50 to 60 tackles out of a game from one player, all of a sudden, like the Broncos every week without Paddy, Broncos seem to miss 50 plus tackles.
Yeah.
And that's why, because they've taken 50 plus tackles out of the game from one bloke. I think it doesn't matter what football team you are, you take that out of any team and they're going to struggle.
Yeah, and that means like the rest of the team's going to make up for that. So you got to look at the likes of, I know Kobe's pretty good, Headington's pretty good tackling and defending. You've got Payne Haas. He might not get the 50 tackles that Carrigan gets, but he might have to make up 20 of those. Yeah. And because he's such a big body, those 20 extra tackles a game are going to take it out of him. And he's going to be a lot slower and not going to be as effective with those tackles as well. So I think that just that effect that Carrigan has on that team, it tires the team out not having him there.
You mentioned Haas then. I just wanted to add something about Haas. So when Carrigan is out of the side, Haas is a much better player because he has to do a lot more of that grunt work up the middle. So those people that are probably swapping Tarpany to Haas are probably head-to-head players who need to win this round. So I'd imagine that's why. So I don't think Haas is a bad shout if you've got the trades to do it. Personally, I wouldn't have sold him a while ago, as I said, but still, I think, as Ross said as well, you want to bring in ceiling players. But if it's a head-to-head issue and you have got a crap front rower, Haas isn't a bad shout for this round versus the Knights.
Yeah, I think Ross touched on it earlier, but if I wanted to trade out Tarpany and I needed another front rower, I'd really hope that I had a backup duel in the second row.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
You want to bring in someone like an SUPERCOACH or someone like that you may have sold earlier in the year or whatever, and someone like that can have that ceiling as well. But
100%. If you've got a duel, you go for a second row every day. Murray would be my target, but I agree with you. But if you're in a position where it's only a front row, you can go. Haas isn't a bad shout.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Ross, mate, have we said all the captain choices that you've thought of, mate? Or
yeah, I mean, for me, it's pretty much a no-brainer going Hines. But if you've got Manly players like Glenn said, I think DCE and Garrick are both good options. I mean, let's face it, this time of the year, most of us are going to have got rid of our dead wood off our bench, right? So we're not going to have too many AE nightmares. So we're discussing this earlier on another pod I was doing a recording for that. Maybe it's not a bad week to use the VC loophole this week. I mean, if you've got, why not VC Hines? And if you've got, you look at your bench. I mean, if you've got blokes like Targo or May or whoever it is that you're not playing, and you know that they're going to get you 30 or 40 anyway, then it's probably no harm in just VCing Hines and having a look at it and see how he goes. Because if he has a stinker, then you've made the right decision. If he goes well, then you just use a loop and and just loop him in and cop an AE of say 30. It's not the worst result at the end of the day, I don't think. But I mean, look, most people are going to go Hines straight out. We know that, but me being where I am, I'm just going to be. I've got 3 head-to-heads I'll have to win this week, and I'll be keeping on them closely and see how I'm going during the round and see whether I've got to make that decision of going that play and putting the VC on Hines and just having a go at DCE or someone like that instead. Depending on how far behind I am when it gets to that game, because obviously that's the last game of the round. So at least I get a bit of a look at it and see what happens a bit earlier in the piece.
One we've missed, or two maybe. Cameron Munster is a possible in the first game, but I was thinking Grant. Given the fact that Panthers do in the middle, Grant wouldn't be a bad shout. I actually reckon he'll get a try this week. I say 90 plus score from Grant, and Cook actually stands up in this game too, I believe. So if you got Cook as well, I was going to captain Cook myself last round, but I ended up looping Munster.
Yeah. And I like Grant this week. He's one of the options I could potentially bring in as well. So I need to get rid of Barnett this week. He's not playing, so I get rid of Barnett, and I can do almost a clean swap from Barnett to Grant. Yeah, bring McInnes down in the second row. That's one of my options there.
Boys, the only concern I've got with the Manly game is, to be brutally honest, Manly's kind of sucked for about the last 3 weeks. They're not clicking the way that they were 4 or 5 weeks ago. That would be my only concern. Like even DCE, Olakau'atu last week when he scored 45 points. That
was versus the Eagles though, not Titans. Sorry? That was versus the Eagles though, not the Titans.
Yeah, no, look, I understand that as well, but they still have not been playing really pretty football. They've had a lot of drop ball. It's all been very disjointed play. I don't quite know what's going on there. They've played really well at times throughout the season without Turbo, so they can't blame it on that. The rest of the squad's not far off full strength, so it does make you wonder a little bit. It's certainly going to be very nerve-wracking to captain DCE or Garrick and wait till that last round. But let's be honest, the runs are on the board. For as bad as Manly have been, the Titans have been worse. I'm just concerned that it could end up being a crap game like a lot of the Manly games have been recently, and that other teams are just going to play to their level.
It's like they've got no pride in their side.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Maybe they need some pride.
Maybe there's some weak-gutted dogs in their team or something.
Some weak.
I can see your point, Tim, and I thought that Manly were going to go better last week too against Para. I'm not saying that they were going to win, especially when it was at home at 4 Pines Park, where they're usually pretty well unbeatable there. And some of the scores that the players dished out was absolutely crap, like Olakau'atu and DC. It was just terrible, and I don't know what's going on there. It's just not happening. So. Yeah, I can see your point. There's no guarantees they're going to come out and put 30, 40 this week on the Titans either, especially when it's away from home too.
But Lane was matched up against Olakau'atu last week, and Brown, who's two very good defenders, and DCE is on that same side as well. But Garrick's the one that I really like. He's been churning along good points in most games, and I actually think Garrick could get a 100 plus in this game.
Yeah, they got 74 last week and didn't really do anything either.
No,
so.
What I will say is we all had the same conversation about Melbourne Storm a few weeks ago, and then they went down to New Zealand and played New Zealand to get their form back. And I think this is the game that's going to get Manly's form back. They just needed to have that. They've just been beaten a few times. They're just a bit down and out. And I think playing a weak side like the Titans just to get their confidence back will actually do them wonders. They might not flog them like you said, but Melbourne didn't flog bloody Warriors either, but they got their confidence back. So I think this is what's going to happen, and you'll see a different Manly come in the next 2 weeks, I reckon.
I thought the Storm struggled versus the Titans a little last week.
At times, it wasn't real pretty.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that's pretty much touched on everyone that we think could be good captain choices this week. I was going to bring up Grant, but Glenn got in before me, and I think Grant could be a sneaky little option there. I like that a lot.
A left field one. Sorry, Dan, to interrupt. There's one that I was thinking about. I've been keeping an eye on over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and especially now with Joe Tapine gone down. Any love for Big Papali?
Not enough minutes.
Yeah, but I think with Tapine out, I think he's got to aim up, and especially against the Dragons forward pack, I think he would be someone that I'd be keeping a real close eye on. A bit of a pod play if you are looking for a front row pod, and you don't want to go looking for a pod, don't want to go the generic thing. I think he could score really well while Tapine's out. He's had 2 big scores in a row, and I think
the better beneficiary of that to me would be Elliott.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but I hear what you're saying. I just think that his minutes with Ricky Stewart, the weak-gutted dog, is a little bit they're a little bit up and down his minutes. He's unreliable, Ricky, when it comes to forward rotation.
Exactly why I've had no Raiders forwards in my whole team since the start of the season.
Yeah,
and I don't think I've had a Raiders forward for about 3 years for the same reason. But look, I think Puppy's another big body that comes out of Origin generally and fires for the rest of the season, and plays much better this time of the year than he seems to earlier on in the season.
Yeah, what I'll say on Papali is I love the idea of a pod for the run home in your head-to-heads or whatever you want to do, but I don't think, like, if you're going to pod, say, a Payne Haas and you want to go up Papali instead of Payne Haas, and then let's say Papali outscores Payne Haas by 15 points. What could you realistically see Papali outscoring Payne Haas by?
I would say 10 to 15 at most. Yeah. He's not like going to bang out 150 or anything like that.
And that's my point, where I don't believe that potting up in the front row is the idea. Yeah, I think you need to pot up in that second row position or the halfback position or the centre wings. I just think, like, I love the idea of a pod. You know me, I'm all about the pods. My whole team is probably less than 5% ownership. But I just feel like that front row is definitely not going to be beneficial to you to actually get ahead.
That's right. I agree 100%. To that point, I would be looking, if I'm going to bring in players, to ceiling positions.
If you don't have the duel, that's to bring someone else in, then you've got to get a front rower. Then it's not
That's
the
different.
worst option. But
No,
then
of course.
obviously then you've got Joe Offengow is another pod option for front row this week too, especially now he's back and playing lock too, so he should get more
Yeah.
minutes as well.
Yeah, I like
So he's probably another option too if you're looking for a front rower to bring in that's not too expensive. That's a pod.
Yeah, I don't want to bring any players that play for a team that can't beat the Tigers.
Hey,
You mean they can't
Knights,
beat Newcastle? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens. That's what happens when you get to the last set of the game and you don't even give your ball to your number one playmaker once in the whole set.
I just brought Dewey in this week, mate. I was getting so
Like-
angry.
Stupid.
I'm just like, what the? That was so frustrating to watch that game. We didn't deserve to win it either way. Look, let's be
Oh,
honest. We didn't deserve to win. We were shit. We were shit, and we didn't deserve it.
yeah.
I think we did well to only lose by 4 points because the way we played, if we played a Penrith or something like that, we'd have got slammed by 40 that game.
The best
So-
thing about that game was that the price
Full time was the best.
Knights. No, the fact that I backed the Knights and won money on it, and I'm a big supporter.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll go around the ground and start talking about some trade talk. So I've got you on the screen there now, Ross. I might as well start with you. What are your trades looking at like this week, mate?
So because I'm in 3 head-to-head knockout finals this week, I'm going all in this week. I've got 3 trades left and a boost. So at this stage, it's McInnes out, it's Tarpany out, and it's Talakai out, and it's Harry Grant in, Cam Murray in, and the last one I'm not sure yet. I'm thinking maybe Nat Butcher is a bit of a pod because he's quite cheap. I need someone around about that price. He's been jagging a few tries as well, so that's what I'm looking at this stage. But yeah, the first 2 are pretty much locked in. I'm just not sure about that last trade yet. So yeah.
I think the best thing to do with that last trade, I believe, is to wait to see what your head-to-head guys are doing in those knockouts.
Well, that's it exactly. That's exactly what I'm going to be doing. Is just keep an eye on my matchups and might play around a bit of it, like Tim Moody does. Leave it for the last minute and just play around with it a bit and try and confuse my head-to-head opponents.
Yeah, just make sure you're on the ball, mate. And you don't want to try and confuse them too much that you end up missing lockout and stuck with the player. So.
But I have to make sure I set an alarm or something on my phone so I don't forget in case I doze off and have a nana nap or something like that.
Trade in that some absolute dud from the last game, and then up trade him again to the person you actually want minutes just before the game.
That's it.
I'll say the secret there, Glenn. I've been doing this a long time head-to-head. I don't trade them to an absolute dud. What I do is I trade them to another potential option that they don't think I'm bullshitting.
Yeah.
So, like for example, I was going Dewey last week, so I had Lomax. I traded Lomax in, where someone was like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like it's a decent trade." I was never going Lomax. So, like, if I go to someone like, "Oh, I'll trade in," I don't know, bloody what's his name from Tuala from Knights or whatever. And everyone was like, "Oh, I wonder who he's going." You know, I mean, they know you're bullshitting.
Yeah.
So you trade someone that's more consistent. I think I had Toto in my team at one point. I had a few other guys there. So you try and find something that maybe they don't think twice about it. So, but in saying that, I'm sure my head-to-heads are all listening to me right now and knowing what I'm doing. So
I don't play head-to-head, so I don't really care about the game.
Especially when there's cash involved at this time of the season, you got to keep some of your cards close to your chest.
Yeah, that's right.
That's it.
All good. All right, we'll go to you, Timmy. What trades are we looking at this week, mate, if any?
Yeah, look, I've still contemplated on not trading at all. I didn't trade last week. I've got 5 trades and a boost left. So both my head-to-head matchups this week in my 2 cashies that I'm in, I don't have to win. One I'm not playing. I've got the bye. Straight through to the next round. The other one, I've got a second bite at the cherry next week anyway. So I'm even contemplating the fact of holding trades again. Let's wait and see what happens with halfbacks and such for next week onwards, and then trade Cleary out, which means I can basically go full trades, including a boost for the last 2 rounds. So that's something that I'm toying with. Like I said earlier, I've had a bit of a play with McInnes and Talakai. I've had them both because they've got the duels. I can flick Talakai back and forwards from second row down to centre wing. And McInnes as my backup hooker. Yeah, I've had him in second row and I can flick him back up the top. So they're trades that I don't necessarily want to make, but I've looked at McInnes and Talakai to Crichton and Yo. And I've looked at McInnes and Talakai to Murray and Nat Butcher.
Okay.
I've got the plus, as much of a pain in the ass as he was with regards to looping. I've got Burbo in my team as a third dual centre wing second rower, for that reason that it gave me the option of trading either Talakai or Targo if I needed to, and still have the second player or the third player there to flick back and forwards between the two. So as much of a pain in the ass as Burbo's scores have been, if I can drop Talakai and move Burbo down to my centre wing, I've already got 6 guns down there. So I'm sort of still got that second row flexibility if I need to.
Yeah, I got the same thing. I got the same issue there. So I've got Burbo there too. So every week I just chuck the BC on Sevo, knowing that he won't go 150, and just knowing that I can't loop. So
it's kind of screwed me 2 weeks in a row though, because the guys I've looped have had big scores. I've just been really lucky that I got 2 other good scores out of it. But bloody the week I captained Cleary for his bloody 2 points.
Oof, ouch. Alrighty, sounds like good trades there. Glenn, we'll go to you, mate. You making any trades this week, mate?
No, I'm struggling at the moment. I mean, most of the trades that everyone are bringing in, I already have.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point of like last week and this week where I don't even know who to leave out. My strength is, I've got a lot of depth, with Cook and Grant, and I've got the full package kind of thing across the board and the full second rower. So I don't. And then there's another real key reason that I'm not going to trade this week, and that is I don't have any left.
Ooh. Oh, that was just to beat me last week and knock me out of the bloody Tragics comp.
I didn't even know I was playing you until you told me I'd beat you. I literally don't pay attention to the head-to-heads. But I like I said, I was 9 for 990, whatever it was, 900 for 9 players. So it was pretty hard for people to beat me last week, unless they straight captain Latrell, which you did you?
Yeah, mate. I had the VC on Munster and then the captain on Trell. So
which one did I play? I played you in the admin one.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good then. I'm glad I won.
Yeah, don't start me. I was up by 30 points and then the last game kicked off and all of a sudden he got buddy 50 points extra out of Lane and Brown. I went,
that's how we roll, mate. We let you have a little bit of hope and then snatch it away.
Oh, how the fuck did I go from being up by 30 to down by buddy 15 or whatever?
Because Harry Grant got unicorn points, mate. That's what happened.
But I had Harry Grant as well. That's why I couldn't work out. But Glenn just went from 35. Well, it was 35 behind to 15 in front. And the stupid, annoying thing was the updates didn't come through till after kickoff of the last game. Not that it would have given me much other choice of doing things, but I mean, I had players that I still could have moved around. But yeah, anyway, that's the way it goes. It was just a real. Updates lately have just been bonkers, and it's something I'm halfway through writing an article about. But yeah.
Interestingly, the only one I paid attention to is the one I lost, which was the Podmasters one, and I lost that by 13 points.
That's right. In the end, Glenn beat me by 15 points. It was a killer.
15, 500. What does it matter?
Yeah, that's inches as good as a mile, so they say.
Yeah, no trades left, guys. But I got very good depth. So.
Yeah, awesome. Well, my trades this week, I'm not limiting myself to certain people trading out, but I think we've got Barnett there who's free to trade out whenever I need to. I've got about 12 options there that I'm looking at bringing in. A couple of sneaky options here that I really like. I mentioned in the chat group today, I really like Britton Nakora. I think he could be a sneaky little pod to have home there. He had a great game last week, looked really good. Yeah. Going up against the Tigers this week, I really like him. I'm thinking about also bringing in Garrick. I like Garrick as well. I think he's almost a must-have for this game as well. I think he's I hate using that word, but I think he's a great option this week. There's other players there. I haven't even got Ola Kawadu either. So I've still got a fair few trades left, so I'm happy to max trade for the rest of the year. But yeah, I'm looking at some pretty high ceiling players. It's all about my head-to-head. So I'm going to hold back on my trades until I know what my opponent's doing. So I'll give a few. I don't want to be so vague with my trades, but I want to let everyone know there's a few options I'm looking at.
Yeah, Ramian's another good one too from that game.
Yeah, I like Ramian a lot as well. So because I got Aiken and Targo on my second row up there as well, so I can always. This is one thing I will say. I'm not actually objecting to because the trades I got left. I'm happy to sell Manu this week to find a really good trade. So I could bring in, say, a Garrick and Olakau'atu this week,
That'd be a good trade.
which and I think I don't see Manu getting a massive score this week against the Cowboys. So and I know that next week I can turn say I could turn the cooler back into Manu next week with the Kappa save. So there's definitely options out there. I'm not really closing my mind to anything. I'm happy to sell anyone to get what I need to do. I'm going to be vicious. All right, we'll go to you, Ross. Captain and vice captain choices this week. We touched on it earlier, but let's finalise that today.
Yeah, I'm still not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure Hines will be my captain. Because I don't have Garrick in my team, so I don't really have many other options to run with. So possibly VC on Grant, C on Hines at this stage. Not sure. It all depends on what I do with my trade still. So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Timmy, captain VC, mate.
Yeah, look, mine would be pretty similar to Ross, I'd say. I'll be holding out for as long as I possibly can, but I think, Harry going into Nico is probably a good call.
I like it. Glenn?
I have the VC on Tedesco, C on Hines at the moment, but I'm also toying with the idea of Grant and Garrick. So I'm not sure. See how the week unfolds.
Yeah, I like the idea of going Hines into Garrick if I bring him in, but it all depends on who I bring in this week. One thing I'm actually looking at is going. I can't really VC too much. I can't really loop anyway with having Burbo on the bench. So I need someone to go massive. So I'm potentially just looking at doing my lucky charm and doing the VC on Sivo, and then that opens me up to having options where it comes to I can go Hines. I can look at bringing Olakau'atu in, captaining him, or even DCE. I like DCE. I think he might be in for a good cracker of a game as a fireback. So, but like I said, it all depends on what my opponent's going to do. So,
yeah, if I had DCE, I would captain him this week. That's the honest truth. I would.
I like it. Alrighty, we'll go around the grounds again one more time and talk about some bold predictions. So, Ross, what are we looking at for bold predictions this week, mate?
Let's see. Let's go Harry Grant to turn up against the Panthers. Let's go Nico Hines to go 150 plus against the Tigers. And we'll go DCE and Garrick both to turn up against Titans too. They're not really bold predictions, but I can't think of anything else right now, to be honest with you.
Well, to be fair, even though it's not like he can do it, Hines 150 plus, that's pretty bold when you think about it. 150 is not an easy target to get to for anyone. So, yeah. All right. Timmy, bold predictions, mate?
Yeah, boys, I'm going to go DCE, Garrick, and Olakau'atu, 300 points between them.
Yeah.
Not as bold as my 500 points from 2 weeks ago with the bloody Roosters, right?
Well, when Sawali got like 20 points.
Yeah, shut up.
Alrighty, Glenn.
Well, I was going to add Hines in mine, but now that you have said Hines, what I'm going to go is Tedesco 120 plus. I'm going to go Olakau'atu 90, and I'm going to go Garrick 140.
Oh, jeez.
140. All right. This doesn't help because now all these guys I want to captain, and I don't know which one I'm going to captain. I'm going to try and see who has the highest. So I might have to go.
I'm going to say he's not going to captain Garrick now.
And I just want to say also, whoever plays on the left edge for Penrith to score a double versus the Storm. That's bold.
Yeah, I like it. All right. My bold prediction
Didn't we just say that was going to happen? Like it was just about inevitable?
That's right.
That's not very bold.
I bet on it the last 3 rounds, and it's won every time.
Yeah. Maybe for all of the back line left of the centre, as in not the centre position. I mean left of centre field. All the back line to get a double.
Yeah, I haven't backed them for doubles. I've just backed them many time try scorers, but everyone scored in that side, and I've backed the side to win as well with it. While we've got a gap, can I just quickly say something? I'm doing another podcast tomorrow night with the Hub. SuperCoach Hub, and they've invited me on to talk about our Tragics podcast. I'm also addressing another very serious issue, which is mental health. So we'll be having a discussion tonight with some of the leading guys in SuperCoach, talking about mental health in sport and mental health amongst the community of SuperCoach itself. So those of our regular listeners that listen to ours, jump on to I'll put it up on our page tomorrow, the SuperCoach Hub podcast.
All right. Well, nice, meaningful message there, which is unfortunate because now I've got to try and put my bold predictions in afterwards, and that's only sad. Not as poignant as that meaningful message. All right. I'll get my bold predictions in. So I'm going to go Britton Nakora to get 2 tries and go 120 plus. Tuolungi from the Tigers to go 60 plus for the 4th week in a row. And then I'm going to go Targo 90 plus against the Storm. So he got 100 last time, so it's not too bold, but it's always the Storm. It's always hard to get 90 plus against the Storm.
That's right.
All right. That wraps everything up tonight, guys. Unless there's anything else we have to say?
No, I don't want to talk about Ricky Stewart, so we'll just pass.
Yeah, we don't want to have no comment in the press conference about Ricky Stewart. I want to pass on that as well. So,
yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks again.
Hold on. Can I just say one thing? Like, someone actually in the Podmasters chat, actually, I think it was Guy from SuperCoach 360, said, Timmy, how would we go in a public forum if we said what we really think about some of the kids that we teach? And I just thought, oh my lordy, do not get me started. There is somewhere you sit there sometimes and you think if you walk past one of these kids and just happen to punch him, you'd struggle to stop punching. I'm only little, and like some of them just drive you completely nuts. But I mean, Ricky, obviously it's a personal issue and everything else. Sometimes you've just got to bite your tongue and keep that stuff out the back. Like, literally, as a school teacher in the last 5 years, I've had nails put in my coffee cup. I've had my water bottle filled with hand sanitizer, and we've caught kids doing it. And you just think, oh my lordy, what I could do to that kid if look, everyone have a look that way while I just work. Like, you can't do anything about it. We're all professionals. Obviously, there's a lot of history there with Ricky. I totally understand that. I've got a daughter who has Asperger's herself. So look, I can understand bullying. Anyone that went to high school got bullied at some stage, unless you're ginormous and kingpin. But look, I'm sure even those guys got bullied at some stage over something stupid. So no one likes bullying in high school. But yeah, look, he's got to find the right platform for that.
Yeah.
It's definitely 100%. I was talking to Glenn before this as well about, I've got an 8-year-old daughter, and a lot of the comments are about, like, Ricky, he was 12 years old when this happened. If I had another 10-year-old kid make fun of my daughter right now, and I had a public forum, I'm not trained and equipped to be in that public forum, so I don't know how I'd react. But like, I'd hold a grudge that time as well.
Oh, absolutely. I've still got guys that like 25 years after going to high school, guys that I probably won't speak to at our next reunion, just because they just made life hell. And I got along with most people in my high school, and that wasn't a big issue. But the guys that were jerks were still just complete jerks, and that scars you for life. Sorry, Glenn.
I just want to say 2 things, and I'll leave it at that. Both sides of the arguments have legitimate arguments. So one thing is that Ricky Stewart is an official in the game, so therefore he's held to a higher platform. So therefore he should know better. Having said that, to your point about our children, I'm a father and a very protective one. And if someone bullied or hurt one of my children, I like you, I'm not equipped on how to deal with that. But I actually think, and I won't say any more on this, that I think there's something going on a lot more for Ricky Stewart. And just on a plus side for Ricky, he does a hell of a lot for charity to raise money for autism, is it? Autism.
Yeah, autism.
You know, so I feel for him. I understand both sides of the argument. I'm not taking either side of the argument. I listened to what Ross said earlier on, and I agree with you, Ross, that, you know, that what he said was just out of line. It was just not the platform or place to do it. But I just think that sometimes you've got to remember at the end of the day, we're all fathers, we're all human beings. And, you know, sometimes we can make mistakes. We've all done it. We all make errors.
Absolutely.
on that nice and friendly note at the end there, we'll wrap things up and we'll be back again next week. So stay coachy, coaches, and we'll talk to you next week. Peace out.
Good
Good
luck,
luck, everybody.
Stay safe and be good.
Bye.
We'll be good at it.
I want to win. I want that trophy. Throw it up! Throw it up! Throw it up! I want that trophy. Throw it up! Throw it up! Throw it up! I want that trophy.